Hello everybody and welcome back to another video with Living in Green Bay. I am your host Andrew Geiwitz and your local real estate agent of choice here in the Green Bay, Wisconsin area. Today we have an awesome opportunity to learn about another Green Bay neighborhood over on the west side, and that is Fritsch Park. Today we're going to be talking with one of my new friends, Randy, to help you get to know the area better and just learn more about the neighborhood as a whole. So let's talk a little bit more about Fritsch Park. So like I said, we are talking about the Fritsch Park neighborhood today, which is a cool little gem on the west side of Green Bay. And I've got my friend Randy here, who's going to tell you a little bit more about that. He's the Neighborhood Association president here. And Randy, why don't you introduce yourself to the viewers and tell us a little bit more about what brought you to the neighborhood.
Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate the opportunity
to
share a little bit of perspective about the great quality of life that we have here on the far west side of Green Bay. As you said, I'm president of the Fritsch Park Neighborhood Association. I've been the president now for 4 years. It was supposed to be a 2-year stint, but for some reason, it just seems to keep going perennially year after year. We had a board meeting last night talking about getting new members onto our leadership team as we're trying to reference it now. And it looks as though I probably am going to be staying on for another year or two. And my wife just happens to be the secretary as well. And the reason we chose to stay on is we have a lot of good things going on in this part of the city, particularly within the Fritsch Park Neighborhood Association. And we certainly don't want to leave any of that in a holding pattern. So we have some projects that we're doing right now that we want to see kind of coming to completion, and I'll share some of those with you as we go along here. You had asked me earlier, why did we choose to live in this part of Green Bay? Ironically, I came up in 1975 from the Chicagoland area. I started working at one of the local hospitals here. My background's radiology, and I started working at one of the local hospitals here in 1975, and we rented initially on the near west side for a number of years, as most young couples do. And then we got to the point where we were looking to, build a home. We were fortunate enough to find a property on this side of far west side of Green Bay. We purchased a lot, and we ended up building a beautiful home on it in the early 80s. And we have lived in that home ever since. So we've been here for over 30 years.
Wow.
I've had the good fortune of raising 2 wonderful daughters. I have 8 grandkids. So if people ask, well, why here? The quality of life here has been outstanding.
Sure.
We still have a lot of family in the Chicagoland area. They can't get out of there fast enough. But we don't see that happening in this part of Wisconsin, particularly in Green Bay. Green Bay is just a great area to live. Excellent quality of life, low crime by comparison, very, very good schools. The amenities of the city in terms of just raising a family. This park, for example, is probably a really good example of it. Fritsch Park itself is named after a noted football player for the Green Bay Packers, Ted Fritsch, who played with them in the late 40s, 1950s. And obviously they've named this park after him. I came into the role of neighborhood president by being asked by a board member, hey, would you come to one of our board meetings? We'd kind of like to, I went to a public hearing, believe it or not, at a local high school to talk about taxes, because I'm one on, I don't want my taxes going up. And so I went to this hearing, and I asked some pretty good questions, and then he approached me and said, you're pretty articulate. Could we get you to come to our neighborhood association meeting one night? I did, and lo and behold, I ended up being president and my wife's secretary following that meeting. So that's kind of how we got involved with this whole thing. And when we look back in retrospect, we're incredibly grateful that we did so. We've made a lot of new friends. I'd like to think that we've impacted the quality of life of the people in this neighborhood. And that's really been the mission of the Fritsch Park Neighborhood Association. When you take a look at our mission statement, we're really all about enhancing the quality of life for the residents that choose to live in this part of the city. We are here till the end, God willing. We love this part of the city. The park itself is probably the key feature of the Fritsch Park Neighborhood Association. We have roughly about 500 households that make up the neighborhood association, and we have very good penetration with regard to that number of households. We represent probably about 83 to 85% of those households. Now, the neighborhood association is not a political body. We don't attend city council meetings. We don't vote with the Green Bay City Council. But when you take a look at the neighborhood associations here in the city of Green Bay is one of the few cities in the upper Midwest. In fact, I think it's the only city in Wisconsin that actually has a vibrant citywide neighborhood organization. It's one of the trademarks of Green Bay, and I think that's a measure of the character of the city of Green Bay. Is the fact that they really are doing these value-added things, and it's driven by the residents at the grassroots level. And I think that's really one of the characteristics of this community. It's certainly one of the reasons we continue to want to live here.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
All right.
Randy, those are awesome answers. I really appreciate that. It's great stuff. And I hope you guys can see the passion Randy has for his neighborhood. And as I've been meeting more and more presidents and other people just involved, I can totally agree that people are passionate about their neighborhoods here in Green Bay.
Yeah, very much so.
It is unique. It's never been something I experienced other than in Green Bay. And so I can definitely attest to that passion. So why don't you bring us into what kind of the nuts and bolts of your neighborhood are, what's the makeup of the neighborhood, help people get to know who lives in Fritsch Park and what it has to offer.
Well, as I said before, again, we're on the far west side of Green Bay. In fact, we actually are the western boundary of the city. The neighborhood is predominantly single-family dwellings, primary residence. It's zoned first residential. Our home ownership rate is in excess of 90%. Which is a pretty interesting statistic.
That's amazing.
When you take a look at some of the other neighborhoods.
So
what it means is that, and I'm going to use a medical term.
All right.
We have a term in medicine called stasis.
Okay.
Stasis means it's a steady state. There's not a lot of change. It's predictable. Things are steady from one time period to the next.
Yeah.
And that's how I would describe this neighborhood. This is a stasis neighborhood. Yes, we have some households that turn over in terms of selling a property and a new family moving in, but it's not on a huge scale like it would be in some of the other neighborhoods, particularly in the inner part of the city of Green Bay, downtown area. We do not have any large apartment complexes in this neighborhood at all. In fact, there aren't any. Everything's zoned first residential. We have some duplexes in the area. They're all very, very well kept. That's one of the things that, again, keeps me here is the owner pride with these properties is very, very, very high. People mow their lawns. They take care of their weeds. We don't have mattresses. We don't have mattresses lying up against the sides of buildings. I mean, some of the residents do have storage sheds on their property. There's no ordinance against it. As long as they're kept up well, and they enhance the value of the property, we don't have any problem with it. But the ownership pride here is very, 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 very high. And you can just see it as you walk the neighborhood. I do a daily walk every day. It's just part of my lifestyle to stay as fit as I possibly can at this point in my life. And walking this neighborhood is a part of that trek. It's about a 3-mile walk every day, and I walk the neighborhood. And so I can see the flavor of this neighborhood in terms of the owner pride and how well the properties are kept. The interesting thing, we've had in the last year 6 or 7 households where the homeowners, rather than selling their property and moving somewhere else, have decided we're going to reinvest in the property we currently own to the tune of major upgrades to their homes. I have a neighbor, for example, that literally, rather than selling his home and moving, decided, my wife and I are going to stay here. We love the neighborhood so much that they literally completely changed the interior and exterior of their home to the tune of almost $250,000. I mean, now, who makes that kind of a decision about taking a home and putting that kind of money in? And I think it's a testament to they want to stay in this neighborhood. Because as they said to us, we can get a house anywhere. Could I get a newer house with more things? Yes, but I can't get my neighbors. And that was the deal. And then I could probably cite 2 or 3 other households that are doing the same thing as we speak right now, where they're putting a large amount of money into their homes to just modernize them and keep them up. So I think that's probably the best example I can give you. I mean, shopping is literally a 2-minute car ride. 3 minutes maybe if you don't hit the stoplight. We have excellent dining literally within 5 minutes of the drive from your home here. All of the amenities that you would like, that would define a good quality of life, really are here within 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes, including Lambeau Field, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We can't forget that. We're talking about Green Bay.
If you hit the lights right, you're going to get to Lambeau Field in just over 10 minutes.
Yep.
Now, parking is another story. I can't help you with the parking side.
I made a video on that. We'll check it out.
Now, the makeup of our area is because we are on the west edge of the city, we are part of the Oneida Indian Reservation. This area was part of the original Oneida Reservation land. We have a very, very good relationship with the Oneida Nation. And in fact, ironically, I'm having a meeting with some of their leaders tonight. We get together every 2 months to talk about issues of common concern, because we're all about enhancing the quality of life for the people in our neighborhood, and they're on the same wavelength with us with regard to that. And so some of our residents are Oneida Tribal Nation members. The majority are not. I think the mix is roughly about 10 to 12% are Oneida Nation members. But as you walk our neighborhood, you'd never know. If you look at properties, you'd never know, well, that's an Oneida Nation person, and this is not. You'd never see that. You know, which I think just speaks to the blending of these ethnic groups coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about this park. How about,
Okay.
We're talking about Fritsch Park. I know I heard some pretty cool things going on at the park. You did some upgrades.
Yeah, we have.
You have the only of a certain thing in the whole city. Tell us a little more about some of that.
I'll share that with you as well. And I think our neighborhood association, we can take a little bit of credit for
Yeah.
that. Fritsch Park itself, if you were to travel around the city of Green Bay and look at the different parks, and Green Bay has great parks.
Yeah.
I have 4 grandkids living in this area. So as a grandfather, I spend as much time with them as we can. We're always looking for parks throughout the entire area. This seems to be the one that we keep coming back to for a variety of reasons. First off, it has a great shelter house. All right. With restrooms, you know, working toilets, drinking fountains. It's got a heated area in the fall and in the winter, so you can use it year round. Has a great playground area.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
There. Yeah, and you can see it with just the families that just kind of come here on a daily basis and use the park.
That'd be my family included.
You would love it here.
Yep.
And you talk to the people who come here, they'll say, you know, we had no idea this park was here, but we're here all the time.
Sure.
We've got a great baseball field out there. They play softball and baseball, and then right now, because it's early fall, we're into the football season.
Of course.
So there's football games out there pretty much every evening with organized teams. The park itself is the only park here in the city of Green Bay that actually has a Gaga ball pit.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know what Gaga ball is, which I didn't know until a few years ago, the Fritsch Park Neighborhood Association actually set about as a project one summer to generate the funding and work with the Green Bay Parks Department to actually put in a formal Gaga ball pit. You can see it kind of over my left shoulder here. It's the only Gaga ball pit in a Green Bay city park. Now, there's other Gaga ball pits in the city, but they're not in city parks. And I have to give compliment to the Green Bay Parks Department. They were incredibly good to work with. They did the excavation, they did the final grade, but we built the Gaga ball pit and then the stones that are in there, and the kids are playing in it every day. We have a number of social events here as a neighborhood association throughout the summer months particularly. We just had Movie in the Park here in June. We had about 150 people watching the Bee Movie, along with popcorn and cotton candy and soft drinks and games and everything the kids were playing. And then in mid-October, we're going to be having our Fall Fest, an annual meeting, which is pumpkin decorating, a costume contest, piñatas, hot cider, hot chocolate. Oh, so we have a number of games. We've got face painting coming in. We're going to have a food truck here. Last 2 years ago, we didn't have it last year because of COVID, but 2 years ago we had it. We had about another 150 or so people at it. And again, this park is kind of the focal point for those types of activities. But again, they're just examples of what we do as a neighborhood association to really enhance the quality of life of the people that make up the Fritsch Park residential area.
So pretty much nothing going on, huh?
Oh,
no, I'm
boy.
just kidding.
I think one of the questions that people will inherently want to know is, okay, so this is what you're doing now, this is what you've done, where are you going to go?
Yeah, tell us
What's
about that.
down the road. We're not running out of projects. We just recently finished a walking trail development back through the woods here. We did that in conjunction with an Eagle Scout. A local Eagle Scout needed a project. We worked with him and contracted him. It was his project.
Cool.
And then we just added 3 Aldo Leopold style benches along the walking path for people to just kind of sit and reflect and enjoy the beauty of these woods as they get in there. So that project has been completed. We are going to be putting in a nice sandbox here at the playground area.
All right.
This fall with a digger crane.
Woo!
Yeah, so the kids can sit and dig in the sand all day long if they would like.
Yes.
Weather permitting, we're hoping we can get that done yet this fall. If not, it'll be in the early spring. And then longer term, we are actually having, and I'm planting seeds, but seeds have to be planted before they can germinate, and that's kind of where we're at.
Yep.
We are looking at possibility of a water feature out here.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of us are pushing not necessarily for a pool, but a splash pad.
Yes.
This is a natural site for a splash pad. And the people that we have had out here, including some Green Bay officials, agree. This is really a great spot for something like that, because there's really not a fairly significant aquatic feature on the far west side of Green Bay.
Sure.
We have pools in the inner parts of the core of Green Bay, but there's nothing west of that. So the logic of doing something like that out here seems to make a lot of sense. And as I mentioned earlier, the Oneida Nation is very, very interested in being a part of that as well.
Oh, cool.
So we're hopeful that the funding can become available. It's nothing that's going to happen overnight, but if you ask me, well, where will we be perhaps in 3 to 5 years? I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you see a splash pad out there. We already got an area over here that's already been selected. If we're going to do it, that's where it goes.
It gets good sunlight over there.
It does. You got full sun all day long. So we have our fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That would be a real huge accomplishment if we can pull that one off. So.
If you want information on the neighborhood, on the events that Randy's talking about, even just information on this park, all of that will be in the description below in this video. So this is not where you stop learning about Fritsch Park.
Oh, no,
go to those links. Please go to those links. Those will help you get connected with people like Randy and others in the neighborhood and really make the most of the neighborhood and what you're looking to do here. So do that. If you wouldn't, real quick, if you appreciate what Randy's sharing, if this video is giving you some value, give him a thumbs up. We need some thumbs up for this video. And then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to go do another neighborhood interview later today. And we'll have a bunch more of those coming, along with all sorts of other stuff about living in Green Bay. So make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll have more information and more stuff coming in the weeks ahead. So let's talk about, lastly here, how would somebody go about getting connected more to the neighborhood? Let's say it's one of my buyers. They're thinking of moving here, or they have an accepted offer here, and they're wanting to be involved in the community because it sounds like a really transformational, great community to be a part of. How would they connect? How would they learn more, and kind of give them some places to go?
Well, it's easy to do. Obviously, with all the social networking going on out there, we have a Facebook page, but our primary contact is a web page called Nextdoor, all one word, Nextdoor. It's a national site representing neighborhoods from around the United States. But if you were to go to Nextdoor/Fritsch Park, FRITSCHPARK, it'll take you right to the Nextdoor site for Fritsch Park that we typically post. And I'm posting to that sometimes 3 and 4 times a day. But almost every day we're posting something on behalf of the neighborhood association. It's
So
really,
you go for a daily walk and you post on there every day
yeah.
too. Those are your consistent things, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, again, I'm not an elected official, but I'm so proud of this
Yeah.
area that I've taken strong ownership of people enjoying the quality of
Yeah.
life that is so characteristic of Fritsch Park. And again, we have a Facebook page. I have to admit, I'm not really good at Facebook, but we do have a couple of board members who are a little better at Facebook than I am. But our primary source would be probably Nextdoor. And then if anybody just wants to talk to me directly, I mean, I'm more than happy to share an email address with somebody. You can contact me through Nextdoor because we can set up individual chats through our Nextdoor site. But I'm more than happy to speak with anyone that is interested in possibly locating in this, this beautiful area, so that they can enjoy the quality of life that we have enjoyed now for several decades in our lives. And that's really what it's all about. It really comes, when the dust settles, everyone, it really comes down to a good quality of life so you can raise a family and you have great memories. Because that's really what it's about. And Fritsch Park is certainly a part of that portfolio.
Absolutely. I hope you can feel the passion, energy.
I'm sincere.
Yeah, Randy has, it's absolutely sincere. It's true of a lot of people, I think, in Green Bay as a whole. If you're thinking about moving to the Green Bay area, genuine, straightforward, honest people who are passionate about what they get to do and where they live, that is a characteristic of Green Bay. And hopefully you get that as you see this video and the other ones here with Living in Green Bay. Randy, any last closing things? I know you gave a real good vision there. Any last closing things you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
Yeah, you know, one of the things, we travel quite a bit, my wife and I, now that we're both retired. And one of the things that I always like to share with people is there's so much more to Green Bay than the Green Bay Packers. Obviously the gem of the area, but there is so much more. And one of the things I always like to tell people, you literally can go from the far west side of Green Bay to the far east side of Green Bay in 20 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, there's a belt line and an interstate system around this area.
I have a video on that. Check it out.
Now, you don't really think that's a big deal. But
It's
when
cool.
you go to cities like Atlanta and Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, we don't even want to talk about that. To cross a metropolitan area with a population of in excess of 200,000 people in 20 minutes is unheard of. I mean, that's a rarity. So another gem that I don't think a lot of people really put a lot of strength in, and I think they should.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, that's probably my final note.
That's it. Those are some cool things. Like I said, we actually have a few videos on how to park for a Packers game, about the Green Bay Metro Loop and how cool that is
really
with the different exits. Check those videos out to learn more that way. And thanks again for watching Living in Green Bay, learning about Fritsch Park here today. And we'll have lots of things to come in the future. My name is Andrew Geiwitz, local real estate agent here in Green Bay, and the person who just loves being a part of the community just as much as Randy. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you guys again on another video of Living in Green Bay.